camera speed. Now, here is a motion picture film.
Good evening, and welcome to Real Movies. Tonight's film has all the ingredients of a true cult movie. It's a genre piece with a low budget, a performance from one of the holy trinity of horror, and exists in multiple versions. First released in 1973 and starring Edward Woodward and Christoper Lee, tonight's film is The Wicker Man. Referred to as the Citizen Kane of horror by Cinefantastique, The Wicker Man tells the story of Sergeant Neil Howie, a Scottish police officer sent to the remote Summer Isle after receiving a letter concerning a missing girl. When Howie arrives, his ridiculously uptight nature does him no favours with the locals, who, while seemingly charming on the surface, are clearly hiding something. Howie comes to realise that the island is neo-pagan, which is completely at odds with his own strict Christian faith, and, trapped on the island with only his beliefs, Howie is soon on a one-man crusade. The film is credited as Anthony Shaffer's The Wicker Man, and indeed, he wrote the screenplay. It was based loosely on a novel by David Pinner titled Ritual, which had first been conceived as a movie itself, with John Hurt to star. The eventual result was a film produced on a shoestring budget by British Lion, at a time when the British film industry was suffering. The film was made so cheaply, in fact, that Christoper Lee, who was incredibly passionate about The Wicker Man, worked on it without being paid. Although made for a penny, with Robin Hardy in the director's chair, the film doesn't look it, opening with the glorious Scottish landscapes of the Isle of Skye, which never fail to look beautiful on screen, as Robert Burns' Highland Widow's Lament soars with the viewer. Then, as Howie's plane crosses into the unknown, the music changes to a traditional folk sound. The soundtrack is a great cornerstone of The Wicker Man, and is vital to the film's narrative, with music composed by Paul Giovanni and performed by Magnet. Although light and innocent, there's something sinister about the ever-present folk songs, and as the film climaxes to a chorus of Summer Is A-Comin' In, the iconic imagery juxtaposed by the sound of the choir is really very alarming. It is a horror film that is subtle in the uneasy tension orchestrated. The Wicker Man is a film designed to avoid the usual tricks of the trade. There's no gore or jump scares. Instead, there's an unnerving sense of bleakness designed to leave you feeling uncomfortable. A pub sign with brass eyes, foreskins in jars at the chemist's, Britt Ekland dancing naked in an attempt to seduce Edward Woodward. There's a great deal of nudity in this film, but not for a second is it exploitative or gratuitous. Instead, with its themes of religious intolerance, the freedom with which sex is taught and exhibited on the island is just another way of exploring the inner turmoil between desire and religion that the straight-laced Howie comes to experience. The Wicker Man is certainly open to numerous different interpretations. Is it about Christianity versus paganism, sexual freedom, or potentially holding on to your beliefs to your own detriment, or potentially about religious and cultural intolerance? All of them have a case, and it is entirely up to you to decide how you think the film is to be interpreted. The Wicker Man sees Edward Woodward in his breakout role before he would become the equalizer. You can tell that Woodward is committed to the role and throwing himself into every scene. Given that The Wicker Man is a horror film, you'd expect the protagonist to be sympathetic, but Woodward's Howie becomes more and more unsympathetic as the film goes on, until the final 10 minutes. He is a man so blinded by his own religion that he's completely intolerant to other beliefs. One scene in particular that struck me and summarises the entire film very well is when Howie insists that the Christian God is the true God, leaving the audience to ask, who is he to decide who the true God is or isn't? Meanwhile, Christoper Lee, who was best known to audiences at the time for the Hammer horror films, decided to subvert expectation by giving a reserved performance, and he is clearly relishing every minute he is on screen. Britt Ekland, though dubbed with a Scottish accent, is beautifully charismatic, and the whole film is a masterclass in mood and tension. However, the studio did not see it like that. Instead, with over 10 minutes of original negative discarded and lost to time, or, some say, lost in the pylons that support the M4 motorway, The Wicker Man was released as the B-movie alongside Don't Look Now. studio interference in cult films seems only to add to their cultish reputation, with efforts made over the years to find the original 99-minute version. A director's cut at 95 minutes exists, released on DVD in 2001 from a videotape transfer of the original cut, but the most easily accessible is the final cut, running at 91 minutes, restored from the longer American release of the picture. So here it is, keep it cult, hold on to your morality, or maybe even let it go, and journey to the Summer Isle. This is the Wicker Man.